Alright everyone, I think we've covered everything for today. Are there any other issues to be discussed?
Yeah, I think we have to talk about or speak about. This is something our customers are or were interested about or interested on. Okay, I'll start by saying this, and then this,
Alright then, thanks everyone.
and then that, and then...
Hey, have you ever been in a situation like this? It's quite frustrating, isn't it? Well, one of the reasons that this happens is because lack of accuracy. Now, the more accurate that you become, the more you will be able to effortlessly express exactly what you want to say without having to go around in circles trying to explain your ideas. So stick around until the end of this video, because in this lesson, you are going to learn what is the difference between fluency and accuracy, and which of the two is more important. How you can improve your level of accuracy so that you can explain exactly what you want to say, and what grammar topics you need to focus on so that you can break out of intermediate and speak with more accuracy. Because here at Real Life English, every single week we make lessons like this one that help you to go from being a lost and insecure English learner to being a confident, natural English speaker. So if that sounds like what you want for your English, then join us by hitting that subscribe button and the bell down below, and that way you won't miss a single new lesson. So what is fluency? Basically, fluency is the ability to communicate well without too much hesitation or without pausing too much. It's when a conversation with you flows. You're able to understand people, and people are also able to understand you. Also remember that there are different levels of fluency. So for example, maybe you feel comfortable talking about your hobbies or ordering a meal at a restaurant. So we can say that you have enough fluency to operate well in those situations. However, you might not have enough fluency yet to give an effective business presentation in English, or to communicate well in a fast-paced situation. The great thing about fluency is that your focus is on communication, which is the primary reason why we learn languages, right? So it's actually okay for you to make mistakes while speaking, as long as you can hold a conversation, understand, and be understood. However, if you want to become a comfortable and confident English speaker across virtually any situation, then just working on your fluency is not enough. You also need more accuracy. So then, what is accuracy? Accuracy is the precision with which you speak. It's how correct, how precise, how accurate you are when you speak English or when you write in English. Accuracy is directly related to the amount of mistakes that you make. In other words, the more advanced you become, the fewer mistakes that you should be making. And I don't mean that mistakes are prohibited. Of course not. We all make mistakes. Mistakes are normal. Even very advanced speakers make mistakes here and there, but the frequency of mistakes is what matters here. Having as much accuracy as possible is one of the characteristics of advanced English. So listen to these two speakers. What do you notice? I didn't went to the park because I have too much people there. My friend came to my house and we saw some movies and have a great conversation. I didn't go to the park because there were too many people there. Instead, my friend came to my house and we saw some movies and had a great conversation. So notice that speaker 1 has more fluency. This means that he is able to communicate more fluently and confidently. However, he makes a lot of mistakes when he speaks. On the other hand, speaker 2 has more accuracy. This means that he speaks everything correctly without making any mistakes. However, he's lacking in the fluency and confidence that speaker 1 had. Now you might be wondering, which of these two speakers is the ideal one? Or which is more important, fluency or accuracy? So here at Real Life, we believe what's really important is a balance between the two of these aspects. Now, you can't neglect fluency. It's what's going to help you to come across as someone who is confident, and you always need to be working on improving your processing speed. But you also can't ignore accuracy. Accuracy is what's going to help you to think of the right words to say and to say them in a way that comes across as competent. Now, in my own language learning, I found it's really important to focus first on fluency so that I don't get stuck in my head or in a vicious cycle of perfectionism. Now, once I have a good base of confidence in the language, then I can focus more on the accuracy so that I sound more competent in a variety of different situations. However, as lifelong learners, it's really important that we're always working on both of these aspects. And you can considerably improve both your fluency and accuracy with the RealLife app. Just listen to what one of our app users, Victoria, has to say about her experience. Guys, your app is awesome. Thanks a million for all of the work that you do. The scripts for every audio, together with the vocabulary notes, are so helpful and efficient. And opportunities for speaking with English learners from all over the world that your app provides are incredible. You're the best. So just like Victoria, you can improve your accuracy by listening to podcast lessons and improving your comprehension and learning new vocabulary. And you can at the same time improve your fluency by having conversations with people from all around the world. So what are you waiting for? It's absolutely free to download, and you can find more by clicking up here or down the description below, or simply search for RealLife English in the Apple app or Google Play Store. So how can you improve your level of accuracy? Now, there are several ways that you can improve your level of accuracy, and this could be through studying vocabulary or working on your pronunciation. However, in this video, we are just going to focus on one aspect that will help you to improve your accuracy, and that is grammar. So if you are an intermediate level English learner, then adding some deliberate grammar studying to your routine can be immensely helpful. Let's take a look at some of the benefits that you can get from studying grammar. You will get a deeper understanding and intuition of how the language works. You will be able to identify if someone is using correct grammar or not. You will make fewer mistakes when you speak or write in English. You will be able to identify what is slang and what is not. And you will fix many of the basic mistakes that you're still making at an intermediate level. So if you've been speaking English for a while, but you still feel there's something missing or you're feeling kind of stuck, then studying grammar can help you to start feeling some progress again. Now, when you first start learning English as a beginner, we believe that it's really important that you start out by immersing yourself in the language and speaking as soon as possible, even if it's just with really basic sentences. Now, as you progress on your journey, you reach the intermediate level. Now, at this stage, we believe that it's really important that you're getting as much contact with the language as possible and developing your confidence. Now, this would be by consuming a lot of media in English and speaking at every opportunity that you get. Now, at this point, the focus really is on connecting with others rather than trying to sound perfect when you speak. And once you've reached this really operational level, you have two choices. One is just to stay comfortable where you're at, or the other could be to study more so that you can reach a more advanced level. And the one that you choose is really going to depend on what your goals are for your English. Now, if getting more advanced English is your goal, then you're really going to need to start studying more deliberately at this point. That is the only way that you're going to break out of the intermediate plateau. Now, if this is scaring you a bit, don't worry. You don't need to study every single aspect of grammar in depth in order to advance your English considerably. What's really important is that you focus on what we call the 80-20 of grammar. These are the most important grammar topics that you need to master for confident, natural communication in English. If you're able to master these, then a lot of the other grammar structures will come really easily to you. So here they are: simple present, present continuous, simple past, past continuous, simple future, present perfect continuous, gerunds and infinitives, passive voice. So I would bet that some of these grammar topics are familiar to you, but maybe some of them are brand new. Don't worry, we're going to take a quiz now that's going to help you to get a grasp on where you stand currently and what you should focus on with these different grammar topics. Are you ready? Choose the option or options that best fill the gaps. He usually drives to work, but today he's taking an Uber. The grammar topics in this question are the simple present and present continuous. Jack was cooking dinner when his wife arrived. Jack cooked dinner when his wife arrived. So the grammar topics in this question are the simple past and past continuous. I will travel to Canada next year. I'm going to travel to Canada next year. I am traveling to Canada next year. So the grammar topics in this question are the simple future and the present continuous being used with future meaning. Walking around the park is really relaxing. I enjoy listening to music while I walk. After that, I stop to eat something. The grammar talks in this question are gerunds versus infinitives. What is the difference between these two sentences? I've written the report. I've been writing the report. In sentence A, the action is finished. In sentence B, on the other hand, the action is still in progress. So the grammar topics in this question are the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. Change the sentence from active voice to passive voice. The children are using the computer now. The computer is being used now by the children. The grammar talks in this question are the active versus the passive voice. So how'd you do? Let us know down in the comments below. And along with your score, also share with me which of these grammar topics do you find the most difficult. Tell us so that we know what relevant content that we can make to best help you advance your English. So in the last part of the video, I'm going to give you a practical 3-step process that you can use to improve your grammar skills. So step 1, choose a grammar topic to study. So say that you're choosing the present perfect continuous. We can see it in examples such as, I've been learning English for 3 years, he's been working at the company for a while now, or they've been looking for a new house for months. So spend some time studying the structure, how it's formed, what it's used for, and there are many great ways to do this with different resources. For example, if you like doing things a little bit more the old-fashioned way, then you can get a good grammar book like English Grammar in Use by Raymond Murphy. But you can also just do a Google search and find tons of resources for free this way. But I also recommend that you consider stepping out of the formal structure of these books and actually creating your own example sentences with the grammar topic that you're studying. So for example, you could write a story about your own life using this grammar structure as much as possible. I've been living in Barcelona for my whole life. For the last 3 years, I've been studying computer science at the university. I've been dating my partner now for 5 years. And this is absolutely fantastic because it makes the topic more relevant to you, which ultimately will be very useful for you when you actually get the chance to use the language to speak or communicate with someone. So next, identify the structure that you're studying in English media. So once you've spent some time actually studying the topic and doing deliberate practice with different exercises, then try to consume different blogs, podcasts, watching videos on YouTube, watching your favorite series on Netflix. And while you're watching or reading, try to actually identify this grammar structure in use. Whenever you find the grammar structure that you're studying, pause and take some notes about it.
Well, for a while now, I've been wanting to, Yes.
And finally, actively practice this structure by having a conversation with someone. Now it's time to really get outside of your comfort zone by actually connecting with someone and putting all of your hard studying to use. And you can do this really easily with the RealLife app. So connect to someone for a 4-minute conversation and try to use a few times the present perfect continuous that you've been studying. So Thiago, how long have you been learning English for?
Well, I've been learning English for almost my whole life and been teaching it for over 10 years.
To conclude, remember that you need to know when you should focus on fluency and when you should focus on accuracy. Now, when you're at home alone studying, that's the time to be focusing on accuracy. But when you're in a conversation with someone, you don't want to be in your head trying to think if you're making a mistake or not. That's the moment where you need to just not worry about the mistakes and really just focus on connecting with that other person as fluently as you can. So to review, in this video, we looked at what's the difference between fluency and accuracy and which one is more important. We also looked at some ways that you can improve your accuracy so that you can communicate exactly what you want to say when you're speaking. And we looked at the 80-20 of grammar so that you can break out of intermediate level and have more accuracy when you speak. So aside from studying grammar, another really great way to improve your accuracy is by learning how to use words more effectively. So I have this video that teaches you one simple trick that can help you to learn thousands of new advanced words. Let's check it out.
Advanced word formation. I love my grandma. She's very wise. Intermediate.
What? No. No.
Advanced word formation. I love my grandma. She's very wise. Intermediate. Do our English test using VR. Advanced word formation. I love my grandma. She's very wise.
What?
Intermediate.